Hello, this is Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 77. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman.
Hey.
Alexis Schlegel.
What's up, Matt?
Josh Stavlopoulos.
What's up, asshole?
And is it Luke Nyman?
That's right.
Nyman, cool. I got the name right. I should have asked beforehand, but I guess I'm intoxicated.
Might have been a good plan,
Yeah, but okay, we got it. That's good. I'm feeling good about that. So this is Luke's first time on the podcast, and thanks for coming out, Luke.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we're all psyched. It's been a blast so far. And so I guess the big libertarian news this week is Gary Johnson is not going to be allowed to participate in the first debate.
Yeah. It sucks. It's not super shocking. You know, he had to hit the 15% threshold. I think the highest I ever saw was like 13%. And I think they took like 5 recent polls of their choosing.
Yeah, wasn't it like over 60% of people or like 58% of people said they wanted to at least see him debate?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Yeah.
It was something high, like high, like 62 or 72% of Americans want to see Gary Johnson debate.
I don't remember 72, dude.
I don't know. At one point, I saw something like that, but I don't know.
That seems extremely high. I don't think 72% of Americans know who Gary Johnson is.
I think, but that's what I mean. The polls are part of like a little sample. So they just grab a bunch of. You can skew it either way.
Yeah, I mean, you could present it like, oh, would you like to see an additional person debate? And his name is Gary Johnson. I mean, you probably get a bunch of people to sign on for that.
72% or something. That percentage high of Americans are in favor of another candidate debating because they hate the other two.
Yeah, I was reading like a lot of these polls are just like really perverted. Like I remember, I think it was at least one of the polls.
Perverted?
Well,
is Jared in charge?
It's really fucked up, dude. Because at least one of these polls, it was like if you were 18 to 34, you couldn't be polled. And apparently Johnson's doing like 29% according to another poll in the age demographic 19 to 34 or something, 18 to 34.
Wow.
So, but yeah, by not including those people, you know, you're making Johnson's numbers look a lot lower. So, I don't know. It's fucked up, dude.
It's probably just rigged. I mean,
dude, it'd be funny though if they did like something like your opinion's not gonna be included if you're like age 60 to 90. People would go berserk. You know?
Yeah,
it's pretty fucked up.
I mean, it looks like at this point it's pretty much not going to happen, right? I mean,
he's not going to be in the first debate. That's what it looks like it now.
Looks like he's not going to be because
it's not probable if you didn't get in the first one, it's not probable that you'll be able to get into the second or another one. Yeah, you're right, unless something cool happens.
Because they're always going to be able to cherry pick a poll that gets them what they want. So it doesn't look good right now for him.
Not at all. Not at all.
People have been calling the Presidential Debate Commission's voicemail. Apparently it was like full within like an hour or something crazy like that. I'm not sure what good that's going to do, but at least it's sending some sort of message.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, like I think the best solution to all this shit is to just like talk to your friends, your neighbors, you know, just like random people that that you come into contact with about this stuff, and really spread the dissent. You know, because I mean, I think that's how we'll do it. It's the government isn't. The government's only going to get away with what we let them get away with. That's how they'll do what? That's how we'll solve things. Because the government's only going to get away with what we'll let them get away with. I wasn't sure if you were
referring to just like getting Gary Johnson elected.
Or, I mean, no matter what it is, you know?
No.
I mean...
Well, let's not forget that he's also the only candidate on all 50 state ballots.
He's not the only one.
No, but
no, he is.
I mean, he's the only third party.
Third party.
I mean, he's the only one. I would be really surprised if certain demographics in certain neighborhoods, when they start to vote, if maybe a couple areas just didn't have his name on the ballot at all, if anybody would notice.
No, I would probably not. You're saying like if they...
I wonder if they would stoop that low. I mean, voter fraud happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. anything can happen.
Yeah. So, there's also the libertarian case for Trump, right, Luke?
Yes, there is. Believe it or not. I mean, some libertarians can't believe it when they hear it. How could there possibly be a libertarian case for Trump? But basically, the reason why I was thinking about this even more recently is because this past week, Trump actually started attacking the Fed, which is pretty weird. Like if he's just pandering, trying to go with whatever the populist thing is, there are certain choices that he's made in his campaign that are very odd. One of them would be months ago, for instance, during the primary season, he was attacking the Iraq war down in South Carolina, which is the Bush home base essentially, and so that was a little strange. And throughout the season, he's taking kind of much more of a non-interventionist approach, especially in the Republican primaries than you would normally expect.
Yeah, but probably more than anybody besides Rand.
Yeah, for sure. And even Rand, and that was one of the weird things about Rand's campaign, where actually Trump kind of schooled him, because Rand was not really embracing the full like Ron Paul non-interventionist approach. That I mean he was just sort of staying away from it. He was kind of tentative about
just
it.
the tip.
Basically, yeah. That's how I would describe it. I mean that's really Rand Paul in a nutshell.
Rand Paul, just the tip.
Just the tip. That should be a slogan. You should take over the campaign.
Totally, dude. Shit's gonna fucking sell, dude.
It's right there with Field the Johnson. That's the counterpart.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, no, that was Rand, and basically
Punk rock libertarian meme #1. It's good.
Yeah, so Rand Paul, he was pretty unsure that could be a populist message, and it turns out, well, Trump was basically more or less a non-interventionist. Every now and then he would go a little crazy and start talking about killing Middle Easterners, but apart from that, in general, it was like, we'll get along with people, we're not gonna, America first, which actually not a lot of people know this. Trump has adopted the America First thing. The America Firsters, where that first came about, were the people who were against World War II. Essentially the most unpopular anti-war people of all time. Okay, so you have that connection. So there's a non-interventionist connection with Trump.
But question though.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think Trump's non-interventionist side is what makes him popular with people? Because I think it's more like Trump's kind of fuck PC side that makes him more popular with people.
100% agree.
Yeah, because it's like the non-interventionist shit. The only people that even pick it out seem to be libertarians for Trump. Or libertarians, and like I picked up on that too, and I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, in the very least, he was, like I said, he was the least anti-war Republican besides Rand, I would say, and it's from what he's saying, it sounds like he's leaps and bounds anti-war above Hillary, but at the same time, like I look at it like can I really trust anything that Trump says?
Well, yeah, and you pointed out how that wasn't even really the thing that was making him popular, and I would agree with you, which actually kind of is more to Trump's credit.
Yeah,
like he really, I think, to some degree, believes in the anti-war, non-interventionist kind of approach, and it was just kind of a nice thing that didn't kill him. And Rand was acting like, oh, maybe I shouldn't really go full bore on this because maybe people don't like this. Well, it turns out it didn't kill Trump at all.
Not at all, yeah, because the other things that he was screaming offensively were so much louder,
Yeah.
And I think it's funny too because economically, in a lot of ways, he's like to the left of Hillary. So it's basically the liberals won't acknowledge that at all because at the same time, what they're so riled up about is those same fuck PC, non-politically correct things that the other side are excited about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the whole
Microaggressions.
Trump dynamic. But really, in a lot of ways, Trump's more to the left than Hillary.
Yeah.
So,
how is he more to the left than Hillary? Because I'm thinking of, for instance, one way where he's definitely not to the left, sort of another economic libertarian would be the corporate tax issue. Because Trump has talked about abolishing the corporate tax.
Okay, well, that's cool, but as far as
What about
a 30%
forcing businesses to do?
what about the 30% tariff on Chinese goods?
Yeah, there's that.
And
then there's also he's bringing up mandatory what is it for women maternity leave.
Oh
Which is
yeah, that's
which is
insane.
which
Yeah.
is a leftist thing.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. But to say that there's issues where he's full bore to the left. To say that he's more to the left of Hillary, I mean, because tariffs I think are better than if you're going to tax that same amount. I don't think that's to the left of Hillary. But I know what you're saying. I mean, I'm not saying he's a libertarian. Like, believe me, when I'm saying okay, I think there's a libertarian case for Trump, I'm not saying he's a libertarian. He's the second coming of he's like secret Ron Paul. I'm not.
Hasn't
saying
he
that.
also said he's in favor of socialized healthcare in the
That's
past?
it. That's number 2. That's meme number 2. Picture Donald Trump is going to say, was it secret Ron Paul?
Secret Ron Paul. Yeah.
Hasn't he also
I don't
said
think
he's
that'll be very popular.
favored to socialized healthcare in the past?
Yeah. I think it's sort of unclear as it is with a lot of things with Trump. Like, because he's sort of you sort of have to divine like what he's really going to end up doing. But I don't think that is very different from all politicians. Like, I think you can take a lot of things like Gary Johnson has said, where it's like you sort of have to shake your head and you sort of have to question his conviction when he talks about cutting certain things. But this past week, I think you have another one of those data points for Trump of maybe he gets in there and he starts doing some crazy stuff in the right direction. And in this case, he's criticizing the Fed. Why is he criticizing the Fed?
But he criticized. But earlier he said something about we need to just turn on the printing press. So it's like, how can you even trust what this guy's saying? Either that's my whole thing with Trump. Is like I don't really know.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I agree.
And I feel like he's like a giant Rorschach blotch where you can like see whatever you want to see in him. You can see, like you said, you can see a non-interventionist, pro freedom of currency guy, or you can look at him and you can see a bigot, or you can look at him and see a total leftist. It's like he said pretty much everything on the whole spectrum. It's kind of hard to pin him down on one thing.
Yeah, that's
which maybe is
fair
like
point.
maybe that's what we need as a president, because nothing will get done. Because
right, but if you're looking like what I'm looking at as far as okay, let's look for a section of okay, how are we going to save this country? Like if that's what we're sort of trying to do, we're trying to take a libertarian approach to try to make the country good.
Yeah.
And so, what is the temperament of the person who's going to need to do that? It's going to need to be somebody who basically can give the middle finger to both Republicans and Democrats. That's the way I look at it. Like, because the Republicans and the Democrats are going to be fighting you every step of the way when you're talking about eliminating the Fed or things like that.
Yeah. Well, dude, my argument for Trump, which I do make one, is that he can't even get all the Republicans behind him. So if he got them divided, they're not going to be able to pass shit. And meanwhile, the Democrats aren't going to be able to pass shit if they're still in the minority. So,
but then on the other hand,
if you want to do nothing government because you're a libertarian and you believe they're doing nothing good anyways, Trump could be your man.
Yeah,
I see. Yeah.
And on the other token, Hillary has people in both parties that are sympathetic to her.
Yeah.
So she could easily get shit
She's
done.
a master at getting shit done. So therefore, she could be like the worst president ever. As far as like she's going to actually get a lot of shit done.
Yeah. I mean, guess who Romney's rooting for in this election? I mean, guess
Johnson.
Gary Johnson.
I mean, oh yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's crazy.
Well, that's concerning.
Well,
actually.
there was actually an article I did read where Gary Johnson is the first presidential candidate to have the backing of so many governors, state governors.
Yeah.
He's in history. He's the only one who's gotten that many open endorsements from people that have ever held executive branch.
Like the only one, or just the only third party candidate?
It's as far as this article stated, was the only one. It's not. I mean, he's got mostly former Republicans, but they're more left leaning Republicans to begin with.
Ugh.
I forgot the. I mean, Mitt Romney. Everybody knows he's fairly left. As far as a Republican is concerned, he changes his tune every 5 seconds. When he was, Massachusetts, you're going to have to be a little left.
Republican.
Who is Weld?
No, Mitt Romney. Well, Weld also.
Weld
yes.
also. Yeah, Weld also. I mean, I guess Weld would count as an endorsement for Gary Johnson, considering he's his running mate.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, plus though, this time it's like with Hillary being so bad and Trump being so bad, it's funny because the libertarian candidate, I can say this 100%, I feel has more in common with the everyday American than either of those, two polarizing candidates, the Republicans and the Democrats, have to offer. So,
well, also it is.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with Gary Johnson's brand of libertarianism. I mean, the way he describes libertarianism as being like we're going to take part of. I mean, he literally says it's basically the good parts of Republicanism and Democrat Party. Like he's saying, oh, we're going to take part of the Democrat Party and we're going to take part of the Republican Party, and then that's the libertarian. That's a horrible way to describe libertarianism.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah. I mean,
especially in the current climate.
Explaining it correctly, yes. But to kind of like inch people there in that direction, I think it's a pretty general idea. Like when people have asked me what a libertarian is before, I've said it a million times, like fiscally conservative, socially liberal, and I feel like in 2016 more than ever, I've heard opposition to that. When
people hate the Republicans, they usually hate them for the fact of all the issues with money. It tends to be Republicans are always money hungry for something. Trying to increase make the budget bigger, with the extending the debt ceiling, and then you look at Democrats who are historically really really good on social issues, so it's just a good way to explain it to people.
But I feel like the way to go for the future, the way forward for the future, is full blown anti-establishment style libertarianism, like anarchism, but John McAfee type of a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like John McAfee though. I mean, did you see before he was running as a Republican and he was going to run as like the fucking cyber party and he was talking about workfare programs?
Yeah, I don't know. Much
See,
about
I
him,
mean,
so.
that's the thing about John McAfee, dude. Like, I was literally falling in love with the way he was speaking, but come to find out, like
he does have a very soothing voice.
6 or 9 months before, he was libertarian in some ways, but not in other ways. Yeah, he was pretty kind of crazy leftist in some ways, it seems. Like with him, I heard that he was drafted by somebody in the LP. Like, hey, you should just run for our party. And I think with him, he figured out, well, it'd be a lot easier to like a commandeer an already existing third party with ballot access in most states than to try to get the cyber party off the ground. I feel like he just figured that out when he sobered up. And I mean, he had an excellent talk game, dude. Like, I mean,
what was his drug of choice, Matt?
Apparently Coke, from what I've heard.
He
seemed like Coke.
Doesn't he look like he would be a guy on Coke? Like he's got a goatee, he's got tattoos. It's pictured him in like the jungle. This guy does Coke.
Yeah,
like
a
Gary
buddy of
Johnson
mine
stopped smoking marijuana so that he could run. I'm pretty sure he stopped doing Coke so he could run.
Yeah,
It was
I'm
probably like that.
Dude, actually, I'm pretty sure.
McAfee.
I'm pretty sure he didn't stop doing Coke.
Dude, McAfee looks
May
like
not
the
have.
guy who's doing
No,
blow
seriously,
at a
dude.
Buckcherry concert. I mean,
Dude, seriously, didn't you see all those fucking libertarian debates, dude? Fucking McAfee kept doing the cocaine swipe, dude.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't see it, watch it again because he was doing it.
I withdraw.
runny nose, dude.
I mean, John McAfee isn't a good example of what I'm talking about. Probably, I'm not.
No, but
fully up on
I
him.
get what you're saying. I
Yeah.
mean, he was like, like if I didn't have all this prior knowledge, and if I didn't do all this research, and I just watch him in the debates, honestly, he would have been my favorite like libertarian.
And I'm
He's
taking
coming off like fucking Rambo or
dude,
something.
McAfee looks like he could be the road manager for the Google Dolls. I mean, come on, how fucking like 90s that guy looks with the goatee.
Yeah, he's a rock star basically. I mean, so I'm talking about style because this
Oh
is
yeah,
when we're talking about
he's
a
got
movement,
swag. He's
yeah,
the only libertarian with any type of swag at all.
People aren't going to get the principles at the end of the day. Like trying to convince everybody of the principle.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's why Gary Johnson's explanation might be a pretty good way to get people in that direction, and I think he has been succeeding with a lot of people. He picked up a lot of Bernie supporters.
Yeah.
Well, see, I don't have a problem with the whole.
Once they're
fiscally
there,
liberal-
Luke, it's your job to like explain to them libertarianism. Once they're here in our circle, dude.
But when you say, look, we're part liberal and part conservative, then it's like, oh, so you're just part of the two things that we hate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think saying something like fiscally conservative and socially liberal is better than saying like we're taking the best elements from both parties, and that's what libertarianism is. We want to be something that's completely separate from the two parties.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but because I don't think
It's like I don't want to be like Jeffrey Dahmer because like he was a great community leader,
A great chef.
I heard he was a great chef. I don't want to
chef.
be like Jeffrey Dahmer, yeah, great chef. It's like let's not even bring that name into the fucking conversation.
He can show you all the cool
let's
spots
create
to
our
go
own
hang out
identity,
too.
which we pretty much have done outside of politics.
Yeah, I mean, because like the funny thing is, when we say fiscally conservative and socially liberal, it's the way I've always viewed myself as a libertarian. I view myself as being more fiscally conservative than all these fucking Republicans over here. At the
Right.
same time, I'm way more socially liberal than all these Democrats over here. So, but I mean, like, just to kind of explain to somebody for the first time, I'm just saying I personally don't really have much of a problem with that. You know, if you're going to talk about it for an hour, of course, other shit's going to come up, and you're going to have, you know, better, more in-depth things to say. But as like a brief introduction, I don't have a problem with it. But I mean, you know, I can see what you're saying, because I mean, I've really, at the same time, you know, I do. It's hard for me to name much of anything good that either party does at all. You know, like
Right.
what do they really do well?
Disappointing us.
Yeah, yeah.
They can do that real well.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think another thing with Trump, all of his followers, he could say basically he could wake up one morning and say he was going to cut any government program, anything, and all the people behind him in the cult of Trump would say, okay, yeah, that sounds good. That's powerful. I mean, that actually that reduces the barriers that we're typically dealing with to cutting something like the Fed. There's a lot of barriers involved. There's a lot of political barriers. Now we've reduced it to Trump just decides that it's the right thing to do. That's all. That's the only thing we're dealing with at this point, because it doesn't seem like he's afraid. He has a penchant.
But when you
for,
say people,
Yeah.
when you say Trump followers, I mean, you're not talking about Congress. And there's only so much he can do, you know, unless you want to just say like unless you want to grant him the ability to just whip out executive orders and be okay with that, you know what I mean?
well,
Which has been happening in the last few presidents, but
and now,
I don't think he'll
yeah.
be able to get away with that, though, because he's hated by so many people. I don't think he'll be able to get away with the amount of executive orders that Obama got away with, that Bush got away
Right.
with.
right, that's what I'm saying. Like, he won't be able to get away with
I mean,
that, and
which
he
I
won't
would
be
say
able to
is
get
good.
anything through Congress. So, how much of this, you know, ending the Fed or whatever, how much of that can he do just as president?
Well,
who's gonna follow along with him?
Is the Federal Reserve not an executive order, or is part? I'm for some reason I thought that it was, but I'm not sure on that.
I don't know. It's a weird
I just
one.
remember, wasn't it 1913?
No, the Federal Reserve Act. It was
And then-
passed by. It was passed by Congress.
Oh, that's right. It was passed by Congress in the
don't
middle
know.
of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Christmas. It was like during when like half of Congress was.
But like
really-
audit, like the most recent sort of audit the Fed bill that actually went through, that had to go through Congress.
Yeah.
So unless Trump can use like some sort of political power to push it through,
You know what's funny? I don't think anybody. I've never heard anybody bash on Woodrow Wilson enough. You realize he's the one who signed that, right? He's the one who signed the Federal Reserve Act. You know how people like always talk about like the bad presidents? No one ever mentions that Woodrow Wilson is the one who's basically responsible for signing the Federal Reserve Act into law.
Well, libertarians talk about it, about him
Yeah.
being one of the
Yeah.
worst.
I don't hear it a lot though.
Yeah.
That's
maybe
also-
you need to start saying it, man. Take responsibility.
Yeah, dude. Man up, dude.
Come on, dude. Tuck that sack back. Get in there.
Yeah, dude. Stop joshing.
Yeah, Jared, if you're talking about Trump doing executive orders
assholes.
as far,
Well,
and, yeah,
I'm
I'm
just-
down for that. Like if Trump's going to go in and do executive orders, some are going to be bad, some are going to be good. Fine, but that's
Yeah, I mean,
But
I'm
is that
just
a,
saying.
is that that's a
how much
gamble
is he
you're
going-
willing to take?
well,
yeah,
where
because
are
all
we
that does
now?
is set a precedent. All that does is set a precedent for the next president that's gonna probably go back to being shitty.
Yeah, that ship has sailed though. I mean, we're at the point of like where just complete executive orders with impunity, and now we're talking. I mean, you want to like hope that things are going to happen with Congress? I don't think. I mean,
Well, I don't. I think the advantage is going to be that there is nothing. Less is going to get done. I mean, I don't think the country is that terrible that we need Trump to just come in and just like whip out these fucking executive orders. I mean, what we need is less orders and just more freedom. Now, I mean, yeah, if he's going to executive order the end of the Fed, I'm certainly down for that. I mean, if he's gonna,
right.
I don't know if that's going to happen or if it can happen.
well, I'm confused. Like, why? I mean, for what political reason is he right now in the campaign process attacking the Federal Reserve? It seems bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
why is he saying it if he doesn't have some idea in his head? Like,
What did he say exactly?
he said, essentially, the Fed is in so many words, he said the Fed is operating for political reasons rather than for what is the good of the country. And he said that even better, he said the Fed is artificially pumping the market up.
Can you imagine if Donald Trump's candidacy might have some way been an elaborate libertarian ruse to make everybody
Ruse?
rally behind him?
That-
and then they elect him, and then he's like, "Surprise! It's an act."
That's right. That's the secret Trump meme that we're gonna start.
Secret Ron Paul.
So-
He is secret Ron
Secret
Paul.
Ron Paul, yeah.
So are
That's
you
what's on
actually
that.
planning on voting for Trump?
I think I am gonna vote for Trump. Yeah.
So are you going to be voting in Nevada or are you going to be voting in Virginia?
I'll probably do absentee in Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that like a swing state at all, or is it going to go one way or the other?
I think it's leaning Hillary right now.
Okay, so you feel like it's a
Virginia
state
leaning
where
Hillary.
like your vote might matter a little bit.
Yeah, Virginia is a pretty liberal state considering
as
it's a southern state, right?
Yeah. Well, Northern Virginia really pushes it.
Like, do you really think Trump is tedious enough to justify you voting for him?
I think it's a reasonable question.
I'm asking if you think that. I mean, come on, because like, dude, I mean, like, do you think there's any way that Trump could win in Virginia? And then past that,
Yeah.
do you think there's any chance that Trump's going to win by one vote and that one vote's going to be yours and you actually made a difference?
So you're concerned for the 30 minutes of my life that I'm going to spend driving to the polling station?
No,
Well, no, he wants you to vote for Gary Johnson.
Pretty much.
Because I mean, if your vote, if like your vote isn't going to count, like in Maryland, like there's no point in like let's say
I actually
let's
can,
say
I,
lean-
I, actually
hold
I
on,
can
hold
explain
on.
this perfectly.
Hold on, let me finish. Like let's say I lean towards Hillary, right? Or let's say I lean towards Trump, but I know for a fact that Hillary is most definitely going to win Maryland. There's like no question in my mind that Hillary is for sure going to win Maryland.
what vote sends a better message to the establishment?
Yeah, so in that case, even if I was like a fan of Trump a little bit, but I was also like into the whole like fuck the establishment and like let's send a message, I feel like voting for Gary Johnson would be a better use of that, regardless of like disagreements with Gary Johnson that I might have. I feel like in that scenario,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, if you legitimately believe that there's a chance it could go either way in Virginia, and you think you want to push it towards Trump, then I can understand that.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Like, did you see that meme that's going around that says like Gary Johnson isn't libertarian enough, so I'm voting for Donald Trump?
Yeah, that's what I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Well, the thing is, if I didn't think there was any chance, like I've thrown out some of my case for why I think Trump could do some good things. But even if I thought there was even less of a chance that he would do good things, honestly, like just from an entertainment standpoint, like seeing him, get up and calling people out and just doing, him being in our lives in the public, I think could be pretty entertaining. So I mean, just
I think he
yeah.
would be entertaining, and I think like Trump is just like not respected by so many people, and I feel like that's cool because I feel like that office deserves no respect anyways. So, that's another one of my cases for Trump, and I wouldn't say the case that Trump will do good. I put out the case that like Trump could do less damage because he could get less done. Because
that was a point that I a scenario I rolled around in my head too. Less would get done with him. Period.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's for me. It's just like you're trying to read tea leaves. Like, who the fuck knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, I'm
Jared,
agree.
give us a Jewish perspective.
Dude, whatever's good for Israel, man.
So
Dude,
Cruz Fiorina.
Alexis, are you going to chime in, dude?
probably Donald Trump then.
What's that? Oh,
What's that?
No,
Probably
Trump,
Hillary.
I mean, then
Trump
again,
doesn't give a shit about it.
No, Hillary would probably be best for Israel.
Alexis is like high as fuck over there, dude. Are you going like bath salts or something?
no, man. I'm just taking it all in, man. I'm just seeing if there is anything.
I mean, yeah, Obama
He's
did just give
taking the
$38 billion
whole
to Israel, the
Yeah.
largest aid deals in another country in the history. $38 billion to Israel.
Yeah, it's
We
ridiculous.
do buy, not to like justify, but we do buy a lot of technology from them. So it's not like it's all going to their like military. or anything
Whoa,
like
so
that.
after we pay them $38 billion,
I'm not saying- I'm
they
not
just don't give
justifying
it to us, dude?
What's that?
After we pay them $38 billion, they just don't give us the technology? Then we have to buy it from them in addition to paying them the $38 billion of welfare?
Yeah, it's fucked up, isn't it?
It is.
You know what they used a lot of that money for, though? They use it for their
bombing Palestine?
well, that and their fairly elaborate government healthcare system. It actually is one of the only ones that seems to function fairly well. Is Israel's,
I'm not,
which is a
don't
bit
know whole lot about
strange,
that.
but it's actually on a taxpayer dollar, on
Yeah.
our taxpayer dollars.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah. No, we shouldn't be giving money to any aid to anybody
at all. Period.
at all. Period. Doesn't matter if they're Israel or Egypt or
If it's gonna,
Saudi
if it's,
Arabia.
if any donations are going to be done, it has to be done through some type of relief organization. I don't really trust, aid packages being given off. Oh, this is for the victims of whatever. No one knows that's where it's going to if the government's got it in their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically, as far as our foreign involvement with our aid packages and just military involvement, the test is, and I've talked with statists, and they even concede this.
Wait, you
yeah.
talk to statists?
I know, it's weird,
No,
right?
fuck it, you go ahead.
Yeah. Every now and then I wander into their communities.
So you talk to fellow Trump supporters, then majority of them.
Do you have a MAGA hat, dude?
I do not. I do like some of the Trump memes, though. I like the alt-right. The alt-right is fun. They just don't give a fuck.
It is.
I mean,
there's
fun,
some
dude.
of them
I
are
love
fun.
Milo, dude. I love Milo.
yeah, Milo, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, Milo's
Come on.
great. Milo, yeah.
Yeah, Milo's great.
Yeah, but I
Um,
mean, I love how he pisses people off.
Dude, that
It's like,
fucking
you know-
that bus video with his like new tour bus,
Oh,
like
that
the
was
little
hilarious.
cribs thing.
Did you see that Milo's cribs?
Oh, dude.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's on the bus playing Xbox, calling them like on the headphones, calling people faggots. It's so hilarious, dude. It was fucking awesome.
You know what? It's funny. As much criticism as you hear him get, is the left tries to be very, very careful not to call him, not to disrespect him too much because
That's
he's
what's
gay
great about him,
and he
dude.
could have revenge.
He's got that minority bullshit on him.
He's
you
got
know?
partial immunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
If
what's
only
one
he
is like black too?
What was that?
I said if only he was black.
I know, dude. Totally.
There was one.
Well, I like. Do you know that guy T?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I know that one.
He's like he does like like ANCAP videos on YouTube, like talking about whatever issues, philosophy shit. But he's like a black dude, and he'll like rip on like Black Lives Matter, and all sorts of like leftist, civil rights in quotation marks.
Oh, social justice warrior groups.
So like he'll rip on that shit. Anyways.
Do you think that that Black Lives Matter, like originally as it was founded, was it like you think it was a very grassroots oriented in the beginning? Do you think it's become?
Well, I think it's
this-
similar to the alt right in that there's a range of people that are involved in it.
Do you think the crazier people tend to be involved a little more than the everyman, kind of like with the Tea Party?
Well, no, I don't
Tea
know.
Party,
I don't
like
know
this-
what the proportions are. I think you hear more about the crazy shit, but then I'm sure there's people that are legitimately in the movement and legitimately trying to make change.
Yeah.
Same as with the alt right. There are people, people that are just tired of like the PC culture. But then there's also like legitimate racists that are part of the alt right. So it's like that's why I have a problem with movements in general, unless it's the libertarian movement, because
It's pretty specific.
the only thing that makes the libertarian movement better than all the other ones is that it's
It's literally for
individualistic.
everybody. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
individualistic, whereas everything else is like about identity politics and which group are you a part of and what privileges do you have. Whereas libertarians are just like I just want you to leave me the fuck alone. I'll leave you alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's got something behind it. It's got philosophy behind it.
Right.
Like, do you think Milo will ever find his way to libertarianism? Because it seems like he's a really bright guy.
I
No,
almost feel like I almost feel like he would be the flamboyantly gay version of Donald Trump.
He's been on like
He's-
Tom Wood's podcast.
Pretty much is.
He's Donald.
And
Trump. He's gay Donald Trump, basically, is what he is. I mean, but he's actually so much better at being like humorous about things. You know what I mean? It almost seems like it's
90%.
possibly an act.
I think like at least 50%, maybe 75% of the things he says is just total trolling.
and he knows he can get away with it.
Like,
He's
I don't
literally using the PC culture,
Like especially with
against
his like Christianity
people.
stuff. I don't believe that he's like actually a legitimate Christian at all. I think he
Well,
just does it because he controlled.
Well, he's Greek, so he's possibly Greek Orthodox, and I mean, I have family that are Greek Orthodox and are very, they're very devout, and it usually tends to be the older generations. The newer one, they're pretty much detached. It's like
no, but he's like
Catholic light.
Yeah, but
It's the same thing.
he'll sort of make arguments and I don't know. It's like you can kind of tell he's too smart to be saying the shit that he's saying about
Yeah.
that.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, but Milo and the alt-right overall, they sort of do have a principle, some philosophy behind them, and that's freedom of speech.
Yeah.
I mean, and so Milo says outrageous things because if you're a freedom of speech advocate, it doesn't make much sense to not say outrageous things. 'Cause,
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
I honestly think that he's probably not. He's almost like an anarchist in a way. He just like none
Well, yeah.
fucks given anymore. I don't care.
I could see him going to Porkfest.
Oh, absolutely. I can see.
Someone should like extend an invitation to him.
yeah, this is the way I think. And
'Cause he went to Anarcho-Polko.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Jeff
Wow,
Berwick
I
likes
didn't
him.
know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
This is the way the libertarian liberty movement should be going. Like very irreverent, very just this. I mean, I think it's a populist thing that we can pull together. And I don't know if you guys have ever talked about Iceland, but in Iceland, and a lot of libertarians don't know this, but essentially taking power in the next couple months, like in the polls, they're neck and neck or leading. But a whole bunch of members of the Pirate Party, which is basically a party of just anarchists in Iceland. They're essentially going to be taking over in Iceland, and we're going to be seeing a lot of change there, moving towards a more free society.
Wait, isn't the Pirate Party based on like the Pirate Bay? Isn't it founded by the same dudes or something like that? Because that's where the Pirate Bay originated, right?
I think I know it was founded by this Swedish guy who came up with kind of a viral system for making social change.
Okay.
And basically, and he wrote a book called Swarmwise. And then he said, okay, now that I've written this book, I'm going to implement it. And then within a few years, he went from 0 to the Pirate Party being the dominant party in a country.
Really?
Now, granted, the country is half the population of Wyoming,
Yeah.
which is pretty interesting. But it's still something. I mean, they have a parliamentary system, and the majority is going to be anarchists. So it's something worth keeping an eye on, I think.
Wow, that's pretty neat.
Their ideology is listed as pirate politics and direct democracy. That could be dangerous.
Direct democracy is not cool.
Direct democracy is mob rule.
Yeah.
Like, that's a little dangerous. I'm surprised no one's mentioned this at all in the news. Like, that's pretty significant. You're literally about to have anarchists in control of a country.
Basically, yeah. I mean, and they're calling
What kind
it.
of anarchists are they, though?
They're saying direct democracy, and it's like, whoa, what the hell is that? That's kind of just their way of pitching the democracy of the market, kind of a thing. I mean, that's why, like, in a sense, an anarcho-capitalist society is democracy because people are voting with their dollars.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't get hung up on the direct democracy thing. I mean, they're
okay.
just for more of a decentralized kind of rule.
That makes sense.
Well, this is the Pirate Party is a label adopted by political parties in different countries. Pirate parties support civil liberties, direct democracy and participation in government, reform of copyright and patent laws, free sharing of knowledge, which is open content, information, privacy, transparency, freedom of information, anti-corruption, and network neutrality.
Yeah, so they've got a pirate party in America
Yeah.
and in other places. It just took off in Iceland for whatever reason, and just because their system is pretty open as far as parties.
So the
new
concepts
parties.
discussed in the Swarmwise book, are those applicable like outside of Iceland?
These sound like McAfee people, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they are. I think the system works, and really, it's something.
Is it something we can like adopt and try and?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. I'm actually. I've got the book. I haven't gotten around to reading the book yet, but it's on my list. I plan on reading it. I actually think all libertarians should read it.
Really? I'll check that
From
out.
what I know about the book and how it's
Swarmwise.
proven to work. Yeah.
Make a note of that.
What's the book called?
Swarmwise.
Swarmwise.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else on that? So, have you guys seen the previews for this new Snowden movie coming out?
I caught a tail end of one.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'd go see it. I mean, Oliver Stone wrote part of the screenplay and directed it. I mean, it's got a...
Is it supposed to be sympathetic to Snowden?
Hey, Josh, what are you doing tomorrow? You want to go see it?
I'm free tomorrow.
Cool, dude. Okay, we should do that tomorrow, man.
Yeah,
We're both off on Mondays.
Then we can go to Snowden River Parkway or whatever, and we can take pictures of the sign, like us hanging out at the sign. Be like,
Yeah, dude. We could be vaping.
You can do whatever you guys, whatever your heart's desire.
That sounds cool.
Hey, bro, you want to see a
You guys
movie on
gonna
our
have a
shore?
little
Now it
date,
turned into a
little
friggin'
movie
date. What, you want to go to Benji's? We'll take the top off the Jeep.
Yeah, there you go. You go to the drive-in.
Fucking turd.
Dude, that was your idea, dude. You can't get mad at me.
Oh, get you two out on a little date.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good movie. It looks like it gives more of the backstory leading up, like his life prior.
Yeah, Oliver Stone is more or less a libertarian, so I can't imagine it being not favorable.
You think so?
Yeah,
He's libertarian-ish.
I would agree with that. I mean, yeah, libertarian-ish.
Yeah.
You know. He's a step in the right direction.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, I think your average person is. I mean, your average person might not even know what the word is, you know, or what it means. But I mean, if you're looking at that to quote Gary Johnson, that broad brushstroke definition, fiscally conservative, social liberal, you know,
It's most people.
that's what I think. So,
It's
but
reasonable.
yeah, man, I thought it was funny because it was Maryland. What is he? He's a congressman, Dutch
Yeah.
Rupersberger.
Dutch Rupersberger. He's a big neocon. He's Democrat, but he's
He
well,
looks
he's
like the
actually
Democratic
my
Chris
congressman.
Christie.
His but his district is so gerrymandered.
Yeah,
So-
we were commenting on that when we were canvassing for Ron Paul
Oh, yeah,
in
it's so
2012.
gerrymandered. It basically, he's huge. Like, you look at his top 25 campaign contributors, and they're all heavily, like, it's out of the 25, easily like 15 to 20 of them are military-industrial complex. Basically Northrop Grumman, Raytheon,
Yeah,
various like all these other military contractors. And then you look at his district, and it encompasses Aberdeen Proving Ground, like Fort Meade, the NSA, like
He's just bad
like
news.
yeah, it's
like
a black mark on his district. So then he's going to have to be, against Edward Snowden. He was one of the
So-
first people to call him out as a traitor.
Yeah, and that's so basically there was a local news article here in Maryland just where they interviewed him, and he's heavily like a huge defender of the NSA and of basically everything that Snowden revealed, and he basically said like, God, nobody should go watch this movie, and it just glorifies a traitor. Like that was his direct quote. That
What a shitbag.
yeah, that pretty much. So. But because of course he doesn't want us to see the truth, because he wants to perpetuate the status quo because he benefits from it.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty pathetic. He's bought and paid for by the war machine and basically the military-industrial complex.
And you have to wonder what is people's like. What does he think the reaction of people is going to be when they hear some congressman saying, "Don't go see this movie"? Like, does he really honestly believe?
Dude,
You know what though? All he did was give it free publicity.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all he did. Don't see this. Oh shit! I better go see
If
this.
anyone was on the fence, now they are.
Now
going
they're
to see
fucking
it.
going to see it. I mean, hey,
exactly.
Oliver Stone is laughing all the way to the fucking bank.
I mean, he's a fucking moron. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the guy. I mean, you see him interviewed, and he's just like, oh god, I can't stand him. But because he's the worst of both worlds. He's the worst of both worlds.
He's like Hillary.
He's like the opposite.
He's
Chicks with dicks
he's a
that put ours
Hillary.
to shame.
Yeah, I mean, he's like
That's pretty much
liberals
Hillary.
love him, but yet he's a fucking neocon. But he's like, oh well, he passed Obamacare. Oh wow, he's so great. Like he stood by gay marriage. It's like and he's responsible for like all the wars and the funding of them and never just basically heavily invested in the war machine. And it's just like he's the worst. So
Alex
don't
really
go see-
doesn't like Dutch Rupersberger.
Right.
He's the
nice.
worst. He's the worst thing.
Yo, let's have him on the podcast.
Yeah. But
Rolling
Yeah,
a Dutch
pretty
with
much.
Dutch.
pretty much just gave
That's
free
the Dutchie.
publicity to the movie. So yeah, speaking of Hillary, did you guys hear? I guess WikiLeaks just confirmed when she was Secretary of State, basically confirming that we were sending money and weapons to Qatar and funneling it through Libya and eventually into Syria, which we all pretty much knew that we're funding ISIS and these various factions of like these rebels in Syria.
I almost want to say that it definitely sounds like something Hillary would do. I almost wouldn't believe it as much if somebody said, "Oh, Obama was linked to ISIS." If Obama administration, linked to the leaking of giving weapons. This sounds like something Hillary would do. I almost don't think that Obama would even have the balls to do something like that if he was that corrupt.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I knew right from the get-go when all this shit was going on over in Syria that we were probably funding like a proxy war, through different factions, but funding both sides we were funding both sides of their civil war. And
also there's their pay to play thing that came to light with that too.
But then, and it kind of ties in what we're going to talk about next, but you kind of wonder, like, whenever these stories, like when Wikileaks drops, it always seems like there's some distractive story, like, i.e., like, Colin Kaepernick or it just seems there's a lot of distractive
potentially, you mean like
big stories that are like trying to take the light off of all these Hillary scandals,
like pressure cooker bombs, maybe.
Yeah, well, exactly. So
not saying that's the truth or not, but that would be an excellent distraction, considering the Boston
think
bombing.
Hillary
When
was
the Boston bombing happened,
Josh.
while all that was going on.
Do you have the documents?
No, while it was all going on, Congress repassed their ability to use insider trading tips. While the Boston bombing was going on, like while we're all distracted, they're giving themselves the ability to to really mess with the market on another level.
Yeah.
But every time something happens, I mean, what's Rahm
they
Emanuel?
probably see that it happens. They're like, "Quick, we better fucking do this shit."
Yeah,
now." I don't know that they're
Rahm
actually,
Emanuel said you never let a good tragedy go to waste.
There it is. Yeah.
That's the
Right.
quote,
I was
man.
just thinking that. Yeah.
Never let a good tragedy go to waste. While everybody's paying attention here, you're fucking over there doing something else.
Yes, I don't even know. Do we even know much of the details? I mean, I just saw it pop up on my news.
Surprisingly, I'm not finding a lot of details. You
That's the
figure
thing.
something
You
that
figure,
happened
like-
in 3 different states would be a little more nationally covered and questioned.
They're saying it's not terrorism.
It's not terrorism.
How is it not terrorism?
Does that? You know what it seems like? If there are no sand people that are attached to it, it doesn't seem like it's terrorism anymore, is it? Because that's kind of what it seems like.
Well,
If anybody from the Middle East is
There's
attached
something in
to
the
it,
New York Post, which isn't a very, it's not a very good journalistic outlet, but apparently there was some sort of note that was written in Arabic, but that could be, I don't know. I
Anybody
just
can-
briefly saw that.
Well, you know why they want to call it not terrorism. I mean, we know why. Because any kind of terrorism at this point in the game, Trump's numbers are about to go up.
That is true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it needs to be this bland type of attack, enough to distract, but not enough to keep us interested to find out who is behind it. Because everybody's just going to assume it's oh God, all these bombs went off. Nobody's asking any real questions.
Mm.
No one's covering it. It doesn't even seem like it. I don't hear it mentioned at all.
Yeah, they've got to suppress it. I mean, they basically need to suppress it.
It can't be considered terrorism, but it could be considered domestic terrorism, because if it was domestic terrorism, it would fit the narrative to push back on the Second Amendment. That I could see as a potential scenario.
What would it have to do
Yeah.
with the Second Amendment, though?
Somehow they're going to tie fucking guns into any time something stupid happens where there's anyone domestically involved,
Yeah.
guns
I
are
mean,
always called up
I don't
because
know how-
they cause all problems.
Okay, dude. Like my 2 Facebook posts last night. The first one was we need pressure cooker control, and then the second one was
Dutch Ripper's Burger is a douchebag, isn't that the one?
Well, I mean that was earlier in the day,
Oh.
and then the
This was a
second
busy day
one,
of Facebook posting.
and then the second one was the problem here is just anybody can go out and buy a pressure cooker,
right.
and I mean really if the left were going to be consistent with their narrative, that's what they'd be talking about.
A couple of the stores in New York took them off the shelves after that happened. They'd stopped selling pressure cookers. There was a store next to me that was like only high-end appliances. They just said they decided to stop selling pressure cookers after that.
That's so weird.
Wow, so dumb.
It's hysterical. They're
Pussy.
doing their
They're just being
part to
pussies.
help America.
They're being pussies.
Pressure cookers are great, man. You make really good pulled pork with them.
You blow up some dumpsters, though.
Apparently. In Chelsea.
The more you know.
G.I. Joe.
Under pressure.
Pressure.
All right. $20 EpiPen.
Yeah,
Discuss.
dude. Okay, so like apparently the
Thanks, Linda Richmond.
apparently the active ingredient in the EpiPen just like the patent on it expired or whatever, and this other dude figured out he bought like a ton of the active ingredient up, and he's going to start selling $20 EpiPens.
Can he mass produce it? Or is it just some dude?
Yeah, I guess I didn't get that much into it, but apparently
Okay.
he bought a ton of the ingredient up.
It's Martin Shkreli.
like
Surprise!
Surprise!
Secret Ron Paul.
Yeah,
Rod Paul.
that was pretty funny the other week when he was trolling Hillary Clinton.
Oh
Yeah.
You need Farmer Bro to go up there with you, honey. He was yelling. He was like, "Get better soon, Bay." He won Troll of the Year.
Yeah, totally.
There's pretty hot competition for that title these days too. Milo running around.
Yeah, I don't think even Milo
did a podcast with Shkreli.
That makes sense.
Oh God, he probably was
I
attracted
don't
to
think I
him.
can listen
So
to it, though.
what are you doing later? You want to hang out? Come on, that dude was like,
Play some
yes, getting him
Xbox.
on.
Jeez.
Yeah, dude.
Let's get
Yeah,
Milo on.
I thought that was pretty awesome because, you know, I mean, it's just like when you have that patent comes up. Okay, you got free market. Wow, imagine if we just didn't have patents at all. We didn't have government granted monopolies on things.
Yeah.
It's a nice patent you have there. It'd be a shame if somebody came along and bought it.
Another part of the problem is just the all the hoops that you have to jump through to get something to market through the FDA.
Yeah, totally.
Which is
Tell it to the vape industry.
like these patents. It's like you have to get rid of both of them, because if you don't have the patents, and there's going to be no incentive for these people to deal with FDA's bullshit. You know what I mean? And of course, I'm not arguing for intellectual property. I think it's ridiculous, but I'm just saying we've got to. Both of those things have to go, and we'll see the greatest possible outcome as far as the pharmaceutical industry goes.
I agree.
Of course, people are so worried about getting poisoned by fucking aspirin and
Monsanto.
scare tactics and shit like that. Yeah.
Well, Monsanto actually bought Bayer. That was another thing. So now the company that sells you aspirin and also puts pesticides potentially in your food, they do the same thing now. I don't know if anybody heard that one.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Monsanto.
I mean,
I don't think they're as bad as the fucking liberals want you to believe.
I do think it's kind of weird that they're banned in almost every other country. None of their products they've treated
A lot
are.
of other countries are fascist,
I mean,
socialist.
Honestly, I think they're pretty bad. I think they use IP to do a lot of bad things, and they use the hand of government to force their monopoly.
Right. Yeah, no, in that regard. But I mean, that's every company, so
I mean,
you have to hate every company.
Their big thing is using IP on seed crop. And
that's
then-
Yeah.
that's the ridiculous thing.
Yeah, and basically, it's very well, and not even that, but the infringement on that patent is something that naturally happens, like cross pollination.
Yeah.
That is the scariest thing. You could have a farmer that's using Monsanto product, and another farmer that's using a local, a different seed
And it just
supplier.
blows over.
And if they basically pollinate, that farmer that's using someone other than Monsanto can be sued by Monsanto because their crop shows, basically,
Certain part of the gene.
of their patented seeds.
Yeah, that's.
that's some scary. That's
scary shit. Yeah.
And not only that, but this sounds very Alex Jones-esque, but
Oh, please.
but no, I mean when
Continue.
No, it's fucking true. Look it up.
It's all some Berkey water filters.
I shouldn't have to look it up, dude. You're supposed to bring the fucking documents, Alexis.
No, look it up. Look it up.
Mao took the guns.
You're
No,
my
but
only.
I mean,
you're
you
my
can-
only source.
And
Dude.
you can just Google it. But there's a seed vault up in the Arctic.
Oh
off
yeah.
of,
Oh yeah. That's when he's.
off of an island in Norway.
Yeah, no,
And
it's a-
a
yeah.
seed vault of organic seeds. So if Monsanto and the Bill Gates Foundation and a couple other,
I actually have that
are
entire
actually
commercial
invested in a
memorized.
seed vault of organic seeds and heirloom seeds that they're going to store them.
Dude,
Did you
that
know
kinda
that the
just
global
that
elite
just
is
kinda
storing
says,
non-hybrid
that
seeds?
The powers that be with Monsanto are kind of well, I don't know. We better like stock up on some seeds and store them in this vault because we don't know this whole experiment. This shit could go awry in only 30 years.
So what you're saying is the elites are going to kill us all, and then they'll use the seeds to replant what's left of society.
And they'll use our dead bodies as fertilizer.
Or the fact that they have to keep unaltered
part of their
seeds because
plan.
they think at some point, like, this could all start going awry. You know, maybe they have the best intentions, but maybe they have the worst intentions. Either way, it's just kind of fucking scary that they're, for some reason, this company's invested in storing seeds.
Yeah, like
in this vault. Like, it's just very, and it does exist. Like, this isn't some Alex Jones scary shit. Like, you can look it up.
No, look,
if
you're George Soros, you're a lizard person who lives 1,000 years, and you got to have a long game plan. Basically,
exactly.
You got to have your seeds stored up for the future.
You can't live off of crickets, you know. Well, I mean,
well, you can.
In a dystopian future, you know, he might not have access to crickets and like heat lamps, so he's gonna have to look for other.
Well, crickets can like survive. Where's that? Roaches can survive nuclear fallout.
That's roaches. That's roaches and Keith Richards.
Right.
The only things that'll be left alive.
Feed off of roaches though, or do they need crickets?
I feel like roaches don't taste.
Or couldn't they just feed off of?
I just feel like lizard people would just continue to eat what was left.
Well, either way, Monsanto is evil in my eyes, and the FDA as well.
Okay, fair enough.
I think we could all agree.
It's hard to argue with. Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
Made a good argument.
T-shirts.
Plug the t-shirts.
Yeah, guys.
Plug the t-shirts.
Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, we now have Punk Rock Libertarians and Daily Liberator t-shirts and hoodies. So if you
Hoodies for fall.
If you stroll by the website, thedailyLiberator.com, you'll be able to pick those up if you do wish. And until next time, live free
or die.
Oh yeah, by the way, I just wanted to, if I could plug my podcast.
And you are.
Wait, what?
And you are.
I am Luke Nyman.
Luke Nyman.
Spell that, Nyman.
Nyman.
Like Hyman with an N.
No. Definitely not like
Hyman
that.
has an E in it.
Yeah, Hyman's
okay.
an E.
Okay, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
I have a podcast. I've got 4 episodes out. Episode number 5 is coming out. It's called MubiCast, MUBI Cast, and it's for independent.
Is that one word?
It's all one word. It's basically discussion for independent cult classic cinema. In particular, there's a Mubi streaming platform, like basically the Netflix of independent cinema, art house cinema, stuff like that. And so every now and then we'll take a movie and just discuss it, do my one-on-one discussion typically. And then the other thing I want to plug is my article that came out last week. If anybody's interested in the title they gave the article was "Fans Rebel Against George Lucas's IP Empire." If anybody's interested in just like a weird application of IP and how the people wouldn't have anything of it and just basically disregarded it, definitely check out that article on fee.org.
I'm always down for a bashing of IP, dude.
You got it on FEE?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Cool, man. I'm gonna have to aggregate that.
Do you regularly write for them or just occasionally?
This was my first one.
Yeah, message that to me on Facebook, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's got some good George Lucas hate in there, and most Star Wars fans can sympathize from what I've found.
Yes.
Sweet. Okay, so for real this time. Peace out.
That is shed, drenching the flags on the tax bombs in red. Poisoned by a few at the expense of the many. Sold to the gods in a death machine. You can't justify killing by economic gain. For God, country, and democracy. You can put freedom in gunpoint in a foreign land. You support the troops, then bring them home. I believe that you will do the best for you. And I believe that we have the power, I hate the state, and I know I'm a slave. We can make the break the power. Society of individuals, nothing more than non-interference with natural rights. Once a virtuous person fully comprehends the non-aggression principle, the violence of the state becomes obsolete.